you guys, and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, please subscribe below. And for those of you who have been following me, go ahead and turn on your notifications and so you are quickly alerted when a new video is uploaded. You can already tell what this video is going to be about just judging by the title. And I thought I'd come on here and do a story time for everybody because I haven't done a story time for quite a while now, and that was the original reason why I wanted to start my YouTube channel. So here I am back on my channel and back with story time. Way back in high school, way long ago, if I can even remember that far back, it was over 10 years ago since I was in high school. And I had this one particular teacher. I'm not going to mention any names just for privacy reasons and other personal reasons like that. But I had this one teacher that just went a little above and beyond and taking advantage of his adult teacher role. And I remember I took his class, and it all began when I noticed I started getting A's on my paper. And in high school, I was around 17, and I was not motivated to do schoolwork or anything. All I wanted to do was hang out with my friends. I think I had a case of senioritis where I just didn't want to go to class or anything. And so I knew I was not putting 100% into my schoolwork, and if anything, wasn't getting everything completed. And so I would pretty much half-ass my work, and I would turn in papers that were only halfway completed. And I remember I was turning in work that wasn't completed or anything, and I was getting my papers back to me, and I was getting A's on everything. And it got to the point where I had classmates kind of, they were noticing it too, and I had one classmate that sat next to me, and he would finish his work and he would put a lot of effort and everything, and he would get like a C or B. And I remember he raised his hand one time and he was like, "Hey, why is Nicole getting really good grades and she didn't even finish her work, and she turned it in late even, and she's getting a full grade and I'm not?" And the teacher just kind of shrugged it off, and he kind of wrote it off as, you know, Nicole has good material, and he quickly dismissed the question altogether just because it was in front of the entire class. It was the beginning of the term, and I went to a basketball game, and I had been sitting there with my friends, and this was, you know, after school hours, basketball games. I believe they were on, I don't know, Friday nights, I don't remember now, but they're in the evening times after school hours. And I saw this teacher there, and I kind of told my friends there, you know, this teacher's kind of weird. He always stares at me, and he's always just like has his eyes on me no matter where I am. He's just always staring at me, and if I look back at him, he just smiles at me in a weird way. And kind of laughed it off and everything. And then my friends ended up being picked up by their parents, and then I was sitting there by myself on the bleachers, and he comes over to me and he sits down and he begins to explain to me that he's a new teacher in town and he doesn't really know that many people. And then he goes to tell me he's getting hungry and he wants to go out to eat. He's hinting at going to any restaurants and asked me if I knew of any good restaurants nearby. And I was just like, I think I told him a couple places, but really couldn't explain to him where they were exactly. And he was trying to say, well, I'm hungry now, you know, maybe you can show me where they are, you know, come with me and we can get something to eat. And I just felt like it was completely wrong in that moment. And I was like, no, thank you. You know, I'm about to get picked up. I'm going to leave, but here's my list of recommended places that you can go out to eat by yourself, pretty much. I mean, even at 16 or 17, I knew that it wasn't an okay thing to do. But at that point, I was a completely different person than I was now. I was so shy, and I wasn't good with confrontation, and I wasn't good at pretty much standing up for myself at that time. And so, I mean, I didn't go out to dinner with him or anything, but things proceeded to get weird and to get strange as the term continued as a student in his class. And so he ended up coming up to me and telling me personally that I do not have to turn in any homework, and if I do turn in any homework, that I will get full credit on it. And he told me that with nobody else around, and he would pull me to the side when class would end and be like, "Nicole, can I speak with you?" And things started getting weird in the classroom as well. Whenever he assigned seats in the classroom, he would make sure my desk was next to his. No matter how many times he switched the class up, my desk was somehow next to his. And whenever we had presentations, he got really serious about making sure the entire class was super quiet. And so all of his focus was completely on me. And I'm not exaggerating, when I would stand up in front of the classroom, he would be like this. Just like this, staring at me and smiling. It felt like he was like in awe for some reason. And it began to make me pretty uncomfortable. At one point, I didn't even want to go to school. I mentioned this whole situation to the aunt that raised me. And unfortunately, she didn't believe me. And she just thought, he was joking around, or maybe thought that I was joking and just didn't take me seriously. And it got to the point where I didn't want to go to school. I didn't want to go to my classes. And one particular incident with this teacher, I was talking to my friend, and she had the same teacher, but in an earlier part of the day, she told me she had forgot her sweatshirt in the classroom. I told her, well, at lunchtime, let's go and get your sweatshirt together from the classroom. And she said, all right. And we started to go back to the classroom, and the classroom door was locked. But I knew that he always left the window open. And underneath the window, he kept a couch in the classroom. And that's where students would sometimes sit down and hang out. And I opened up the window. This, me being the 16 and 17-year-old that I was, not thinking clearly, I should have come back at a different time where the door was unlocked. But her and I began to open the window, and I began to crawl in the window. And before I know it, I realized he's laying on the couch. Like, he's laying on the couch like this, and I guess that he had been resting or taking a nap, and I began to pull back, and he was like, "You're a good thing to wake up to," and he started smiling. He said, "You're a good thing to wake up to." And then he started calling me Sunshine, and he had this little nickname for me, and he said, "I'm going to start calling you Sunshine because sunshine is a good thing to wake up to." And that was another thing that made me super uncomfortable. We had a Sadie Hawkins dance coming up. And if you guys don't know what a Sadie Hawkins dance is, it's where the girls get to ask the guys to a dance. And it had been the discussion within my grade for a while, and people were discussing it in class and outside of class. And I remember the teacher pulling me aside after one afternoon. He pulled me aside and said, "Nicole, can I talk to you?" And I said, "Sure." And he said, "Have you asked anybody to the Sadie Hawkins dance?" And I said, no, I haven't." And he was like, it's okay if a student asks a teacher to the dance." And my response was, "Really?" or for a student to ask a teacher to the dance. And he was like, yes, it's very okay. And at that moment, he had placed his hand on my leg and he started rubbing it. And that's when I was like, I didn't know what else to say. All I said was, okay. And I just ran out of the classroom. And my next thought, I really didn't know what to do. And I had ended up skipping school and running away for this reason. But that's a whole nother story time for you guys, my running away story. But what I did do about the situation was there was another female teacher that I had become very close with. And she was the only other person that I had begun to trust with certain information. And she was a new teacher there as well. And so I kind of brought it up casually, and I talked to her, and I said, you know this teacher? And then I told her everything that had happened. And she gave me a glare. She's like, I do know that teacher. And he set off some very strange and awkward vibes to me, even in certain meetings and stuff. And she had zero tolerance for it at all. And she actually went and she talked to the teacher herself. And she basically told him to knock it off, or she was going to report him. And I thought that it was all over and it was going to be done with. And unfortunately for me, I was still very uncomfortable going to the classroom, especially after knowing that he knew that I thought it was very wrong and not okay for him to do. And I remember coming into class after he had been threatened by the other teacher for his job, that he stood up in front of the classroom and he told the entire class that what was on his schedule for the day is now erased, and he had a new idea of what he wanted the class to do. And he began to say that he wanted the entire class to go home, to pick a song, and to return to the classroom and to tell everybody their song that they chose and why they chose this song in particular. And I think he was trying to relate it to the coursework. It was an English class, but he was trying to relate it to the coursework. And he was like, and here's an example. I chose this song and I want to play it for all of you. And he turns on this song. And this, it was just so awkward and so out of the ordinary. The other kids were noticing, other students were like, what the heck? And he turns on this song and he just stares at me throughout the entire song. And it's about how it was something by Rascal Flatts and a country song, and it was about how he's being accused, but he didn't mean any harm. He just had an interest, and that I know for sure was directed at me, because as we were leaving the class again, he pulled me to the side and he told me, Nicole, I want you to pick a song and dedicate it to me. And I don't know, I guess that was my breaking point. And at that moment, that's when I decided I'm not coming back to this class again. And it sucks because, I was going into my senior year, you don't have this class, you don't graduate. But I was like, I'm not doing it. And that was a point for me where I began to stand up for myself. And I didn't go back to the classroom after that. And I ended up, well, like I mentioned before, running away, and I'll do that again in another story time. But the reason for this story time and wanting to tell everybody about this is because doesn't matter the profession, doesn't matter how professional you think a person is. A teacher, you think you can trust them. And not everybody can be trusted regardless of their profession. So I am encouraging, anybody out there in a similar situation, don't hesitate to report certain things and be open about it, because look at me, this is 10 plus years later, and and I am opening up about certain things that have happened in my life. And it takes a lot. And so I'm hoping that what I'm doing here will help other people out there speak up just a little bit sooner. So that's all for today for this quick little story time. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Again, like and share this video. It helps me out a whole bunch. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. And I appreciate you guys all supporting me. And I will continue to update you guys on my life. And I will be talking to you soon. Bye!